Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom with Kate Olson. As an evolving spirit and change adventure navigator, it is Kate's mission to empower and guide you on your path and inspire your truest passions. She will encourage you to share your gifts, speak your truth, and ignite your inner wisdom and purpose. But to do so with a little humor and grace and her own Soulfire passion. Kate talks with amazing guests who have embraced the pursuit and are fanning the flames of their own passion, purpose, and soulfire wisdom. Now here's your host, Kate.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom. And as I mentioned last week, I'm changing it to Tips, Tricks, and Triumphs Tuesday. So I had a little bit of a triumph this week. As you know, I've been moving, and there's something that I've really procrastinated on. I had, 4 lamps, 2 chairs, a desk chair, 2 cabinets, and a bookshelf to put together. And I've been putting those off because, I don't know, they always say easy to assemble, but then it turns out that you were supposed to learn Chinese first, or you need 4 hands. So anyway, I decided to just go ahead and tackle some of those. So far I've put together 4 lamps, cart, I didn't mention that before, and a cabinet. So I have half of the things that I need to put together. So I hope your week went well, and that maybe you saw the conjunction, the Christmas star last night, or you had a special celebration for winter solstice. So I have a great show planned today. My guest is Dr. Bindu Babu. And Dr. Babu is an integrative medical physician, a celebrity life coach. She's a Reiki and Quantum Energy Healer, as well as an author and a speaker. And she's kind of an expert in the area of healing and recovery from a narcissistic abuse. And she has a best-selling book on Amazon, and that is My Soulmate, My Love, My Narcissist, Recovery and Healing from a Narcissistic Relationship. And I've had Dr. Bindu on Embrace Change with Kate a couple of times talking about narcissistic relationships. And I first met her when we were both speakers at the Harvard Faculty Club for the Symposium for Personal Development. And so when I first heard her talk, I thought, well, gee, this is a really specialized talk. This is kind of a, unique area. And then I learned that it's not really, that we encounter narcissists in our life, a lot more than we realize. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Bindu right now, and we'll find out a little bit more about this topic. Hi, Dr. Bindu. How are you today?
I'm good, Kate. How are you? So good to be here and so good to see you. It's been a while.
Yes. Time flies.
Oh my God, time does fly. It really does. The last time I remember was you and I at Harvard. And it was such a, magnetic experience with all the speakers and your talk and my talk. And it was interesting how integrated we all are, right?
Yes, that Well, since we've been there 3 years, we've added some people along the way, but that first group of speakers, we've kind of stuck together, and it's been, as you've called it, kind of our Harvard tribe.
Yeah. I look at it as our Harvard tribe. We're all still in contact, and we really took away a lot from that day, I felt.
Yes. And I'm really glad that I met everyone that day, including you, because it was really not an area that I had thought about before, even though, I discovered later that I'd had a few narcissists in my life. I hadn't really, thought about it. So to start out with, can you tell us a little bit more about your background and kind of what led you to your current path?
So a little bit about me is that I am a medical physician, but I went through my own personal journey where I felt intuitively that things didn't make sense compared to how left-brained I am. Everything before for me had to be scientific basis. None of the things that I understand now is what I would ever consider as real or a belief structure that I would follow. To me, it was more of, as people say, practicing woo or it's hippie world or all these different things. But you understand there's just a lot more to a person's life purpose and why we're here. So after medicine, I decided, with whatever calling I felt, I became a Reiki master. I went after Dr. Brian Weiss, MD, who's the author of Many Lives, Many Master, and I became a past life regression therapist under him. I did my doctorate in natural medicine, and then I did my PhD in integrative medicine because I kind of needed to understand all the sciences behind everything, because that's who I am. But my main reason was to find real hardcore inner being healing. Whatever traumatic experiences a person has, because we all have the ability to heal ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I, decided with my own personal experience that I needed to understand what a narcissist was and what it is to be in that type of a relationship. And I had no clue what I went through. And not only me, hundreds of women and men who all over the world now reach out to me in regarding this, because you don't understand what you're in. And then when you do try to come out of it and you're in that kind of a circumstance, how do you heal from it? Kate, I'm sure you understand allopathic medicine, especially in anything with, psychiatry or mental health, it's basically medications to alleviate the symptoms. Your Xanax and all the antidepressants, they alleviate the symptoms, but they don't really heal you. It's not like an antibiotic where you have a strep throat and you take an amoxicillin and you're going to be okay. You have to do your work, and it's very hard when you're really down.
Yes, definitely. So what was it that motivated you to want to write your book?
So what motivated me was narcissism has a lot of, like I said, scientific basis behind it, which is true. But there's a whole part of holistic healing that's needed. You have to heal yourself to remove the past and move forward. And when you have been in a narcissistic, toxic relationship, you pretty much lose your identity of who you are, what you are as a person. And there is no description that I can really say to make a person feel what that is. Somebody who hasn't gone through it, that is. To lose your own identity where you don't know who you are, you don't have any confidence, your basis is based on validation of your partner. You think you're the most biggest scum in the place of this earth, and your partner is the reason why you even exist. To actually believe that and to live like that and to worship that person for giving you a life, almost that type of a feeling. You don't know, you lost who you are. And we're not talking about just like low socioeconomic situations, or we're talking about very strong, independent, financially sound people.
Yes. So that's, you come into that as a very strong woman and a very accomplished. And from your Indian American background, how did you end up, in a narcissistic relationship?
So if you don't love yourself and you don't understand your own value, you're going to think that you need validation from others. And I'm glad you brought up Indian American, because this is a factor that I appreciate you bringing up, because our culture, and it's kind of similar to a lot of other cultures too, I'm sure, as I speak, Italian cultures and really strong family-oriented cultures. We have expectations that we meet in our family and our society. And if they don't approve, we're not worthy, in whatever you do. If you didn't meet the education requirement of your society, or if you didn't make yourself honorable for your family, or you didn't reach the status that's considered as acceptable, you're basically considered garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And if you divorce, for example, then you're considered another aspect of a lower class, and you didn't do well in your family, or you didn't do right by your society. And you have so much of these different cliches and stigmas, and it's very difficult to break out of it. So people who are in these narcissistic relationships, or people who are just generally in regular, like unhealthy relationships, we don't have to be so toxic, they won't divorce.
Yeah.
They leave the partner. It takes a very long time. Mentally, people feel, oh, you must stay for the children. If you don't, your children are not going to do well. I understand the nuclear family, and I understand it, and I'm not an advocate of divorce. But if you're in a toxic relationship, or if you're in a really unhealthy relationship, that's what you're teaching your kids.
Yeah. Yeah, that I was going to ask you that question, why it's so hard to leave those relationships.
Yeah.
But you kind of just, really answered it. So,
well, you know what? I'll just add to that for you. It's not just about family stigma, and you don't think you can get better either, right? You're so gaslighted that, and you feel like this is the person who's saving you, you're Prince Charming. You're going to stay to that because no one's worthy, right? So it's very.
Yeah. So in your book, you mention the cycle of abuse. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So in narcissistic toxic relationships, it's such a cookie cutter experience, you'd be surprised. It's very sad, and this is the cycle that almost everyone who's been in this type of relationship faces, and it's going to sound familiar, and it's going to trigger a lot of people, but this is the typical initial love bombing. And that is, the person comes to you as if they're the Prince Charming, or they're the queen, or whatever it may be, giving you the chocolates, giving you words that everything you ever wanted to hear from a person, your significant other, sending you flowers, giving you the best date, always like smothering you with so much love that you are the best thing that's ever happened to them. You just feel like you are on top of the world. You met the man or the woman of your dreams. So that's the initial. But that doesn't continue. It's so intense that next thing you know, within like 2-3 weeks, the person's usually like, let's move in, or let's get married, or and you feel like you're so in that intensity that you think, oh, this is great. This is exactly it. This is what soulmate relationship should be. And then all of a sudden, within maybe 2 to 3 months, they start degrading you. And that means they start picking on you, or you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right, and they start stuffing on you. And it's so subtle that you don't even realize. And what happens is when you have that huge love bombing, and all of a sudden this person's turning around and saying you're horrible, or you're seeking attention from other men, or don't smile at that person, you're giving them the wrong idea. So you're slowly getting entrapped to do what makes that other person happy, and you lose your identity. Like,
Yes.
right? Like if you're,
And it's actually a type of conditioning. I mean, the other person, it's part of their pattern, so they might not even know that they're conditioning you, but that is a type of mental conditioning where you reward and punish.
right.
So
Yeah, it's control.
yeah.
It's a very strong, but it comes in so smooth, you don't realize it's happening. And next thing you know, normal things that you were so naive or innocent about, like smiling at another person, you stop. You know, I'll give you a personal example. My ex hated if I hugged anybody. It simple hug, and I'm a very like loving person, like to my friends or people I know, and I would always give a person a hug and a kiss on the cheek when I meet them, and it was so difficult that I had to stop. And there were times where my close friends, if they're male or female, would come up to me, and I would take a step back, and it would insult that person. But I thought I was so brainwashed that I thought that was the right thing to do. I should respect my husband, or this is his will, this is his wish, and he's teaching me what the world really is. Like, it's so convoluted in your head at that time that you can't see out of it. You know?
Yes. So you also mentioned trauma bonding, which is, part of the whole cycle. So can you talk a little bit about that as well, about how that...
So with trauma bonding, what happens here is after a certain time, you have these highs of great relationship where everything is beautiful for like a week. You go out for the romantic dinners and the flowers and the chocolates. And then all of a sudden from that, it goes into like severe fighting and argument, like high-tailed, toxic, breaking glass, physical, emotional abuse. And you go to these highs and lows. When you go into those lows, physiologically, your hormones seek for that high.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an actual addiction. These relationships are not just because if someone's treating you bad, walk out. You're physiologically bonded by that addiction of hormones. Your endorphins, your serotonin, dopamine is so high, just as if you're addicted to cocaine. There's so many studies out there that shows. So you have to slowly wean yourself off and break that trauma bond. So a lot of times people try to leave, and it's not because they go back because they miss that person or love the person. They're so addicted, like a drug addict. It's horrible.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, how can people actually leave those relationships, with all of this that's going against being able to get out?
It's very tough. I mean, if you see my inbox, it pushes me to work harder to really do my work, because there's people, silent sufferers all over the world, because nobody wants their dirty laundry out there. They like to protect their families. They like to protect their children who go to school. They don't want the neighbors to know. And a lot of people who are abused take the hit. There's also a lot of issues like financial stability, right? If you leave, how are you going to handle yourself? Maybe you've never worked before. Maybe you're a housewife or a husband, so it's very difficult. It's not just emotional, it's the actual reality of life. with any divorce or anything. You have a house, you have 401k, so many different aspects of that change. It's difficult, but it can be done, because you kind of have to understand that's the physical world, but your life is not meant to be born, get educated, get married, buy a house, have kids, and to die. It's just not. That's not what life was meant for you. You have a life purpose, and you're meant to be happy. And these are life lessons. And you imagine if you stayed with someone for so long, one, you might get killed. Two, you're going to grow old with that person, and that's the rest of your life. I mean, don't you deserve to be happy? And what you show is what your children will follow through. Statistically, it's proven. They're going to repeat the same behavior. So you're kind of really living to satisfy the exterior, other people, finances. So you have to walk out.
Yes, as you know from the other shows that we did, there's people who are in relationships like you had. There's people that are children of narcissists. There's people who have other external relationships, like they work for a narcissist, or they have a best friend that's a narcissist. There's just all kinds of those relationships in our society.
Yeah, you have family members. The most very common one is your parents.
Yes.
Your parents are your narcissists. So in relationships, we usually say once you walk out, you got to do no contact. And you'll read a lot about that in my book too. You have to severe contact, even with children, because otherwise you're going to always be giving the narcissistic supply. You're going to feed their ego. So now, how do you do that when you have a parent? And it's hard because you have the cultural aspect. Well, that's my dad, that's my mom, I should take it. But technically, no. You have to learn how to limit that behavior. Be responsible as a child. Take care of your parents in the sense of, finances. But you can skip, birthdays. If you're going to go there and you're basically giving your cheek to get battered, and it's going to take you a couple of weeks to come out of it, and then you're hurt and you're going to spin, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Yes, true. So when you finally do, get out of the relationship, why is healing so difficult then?
So when you come out of it, there's so many aspects. One is just coming out of a relationship. Think about it. A regular relationship is so painful, right? You want to lie in your bed for months. You want to eat ice cream. You just want to heal, talk to your friends, manage it. You're heartbroken, And now you have toxicity, by someone who brutally destroyed your identity, and you allowed it, right? The reality is, and that's hard. You can always forgive others, but trying to forgive yourself is like built up anger. Because whatever is said and done, if somebody is treating you in a way, you're always looking for an indirect excuse to allow it and hoping you can save it. And eventually you're hurting yourself, and you know that. So you kind of have to learn to forgive yourself. So it is a process. It's forgiving the other person. Not that it's okay, it happened. It's, I'm forgiving you because I need to live my life and I need to let it go. And you are a horrible person. What you did was wrong, but you're not worth me still burning over. I want my peace. I want my happiness. Good luck and good riddance, And then you have to forgive yourself, where you're sitting there like, okay, I allow this because of my judgment of wishing for something better, believing in that person's potential, that if they changed, we would have an amazing life, right?
Yeah.
So you had good intent. Forgive yourself. It's not because you're stupid. You believed in the higher good of somebody, the bigger picture, right? So it's a bit of a process, but it definitely can be done. And I always say, if I did it, anybody can do it.
So I think, and this is a question that we have from a listener too, but it's something that I know is difficult, and I know you probably know about. So they say, I have a child. You know, how do I deal with this? I have to be in contact with my ex. My child loves this person. You know, how do I deal with this?
So the issue with the children is, of course, the children need their parent. You know, they need their father or mother, whoever it is that's the abuser, let's say. They need their parent because this is between you and them, not the children and them. You know, there's a different aspect. So if a child has a healthy relationship with the other parent, you know, don't stop them. Don't let them live their lives. But it doesn't mean you need to communicate and get in the middle of it and try to parent for both. You will have to set up a way where the parent will pick the child up from school and drop the child back from school. You have to find means where you do not associate and things are set in place. And if there's some sort of conversation that is needed, which will happen, email. And don't go through the badger of back and forth. If their badger starts, which usually a narcissist will, because a second they can get, they want to bash you so they can fill their supply. It's not needed. They're not important. You put your message across. My child needs to go to soccer at 6 o'clock. His shoes are wherever it is. And that's it. And if the other person's like, oh my God, why don't you do it? You didn't buy it. It's dirty. It's horrible. You're a horrible mother. Blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. Don't get wrapped up into it. Accept the fact that they're going to always do it. And that's fine. That's their problem. It's pretty sad. If you look at it in a really holistic point of view, it's sad that someone's life is based on somebody else. Like, I don't have time for another person and what they're doing and where they're going and being upset. Like, life is too short and beautiful to be wasted on anger and this kind of nonsense, isn't it? So
Yes.
Yeah, just let it go, you know.
And if you think your child won't understand, or they'll think you're a bad person because that other person tells them, don't worry about it, because they will see by your example who you are.
Absolutely. Gung ho. Usually the abusive parent will always pull down the other parent. Let them talk. Let them, I always say, let them just bark away. It's useless. Your child will know. Your child will know how much love you give to your child. Your relationship with your child will always stay strong. As long as you have each other, you do what's right, you show them love, give them their memories, have your relationship with them. They know. Children are very smart, and they're also very resilient. The children will be fine. It's you that you have to really worry about.
Mm-hmm. So I know that that you had this book in mind for a long time, and then you finally got it done. So what's on the agenda for 2021? Do you have a new project?
So what I've been doing it's a couple of things. One is I am released my course. I'm actually in the process of putting that out. I have 3 courses which are divided about narcissistic relationships, healing. Next year, I'm going to do a stronger course where it's a combination of online and then you get me as well. So that I can sit down and really kind of expand out the reach for people in a more group way, as opposed to now it's like one-on-one, which is wonderful. But I only have so much time, and this is like more of, you will really grasp a quicker way too, where you have like, your vision of what you're seeing on what I wrote, the science behind it, the understanding, and then me putting it like together one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I'm excited about that. And I'm also working on New York City's mayor's campaign. I'm on the Eric Adams campaign. He's running for mayor. He's the Brooklyn Borough president. So I'm super excited about that, because Eric Adams is somebody I've never met a politician who's into holistic views. He's a man who meditates. He reversed diabetes with his eating habits. He's a vegan. I mean, to me, that's somebody who can understand so many different aspects of life and society. So I don't know. There's so many things happening. I'm looking forward to 2021. I think we're all looking forward for it also for the peace from COVID.
Yes, hopefully hopefully it's a new new normal.
Yeah.
that is closer to stability, some kind of stability in our lives.
Really. It's changed so many things, and there's a lot of loss, but there's also a lot of transformation.
That is very true. And there have been some things that we will be able to look back on and say, well, that was a good thing that came out of it. But for right now, I think we're just overwhelmed by so much of what happened.
It is. I mean, New York got hit. I'm in New York, and New York got hit in March. We've lost 35,000 people.
Yes.
In like 3 months, and it was something I never thought in my lifetime I would see happen. Now again, the numbers are going up, and it's hard. It's hard. We can't understand a lot of things. I have a lot of colleagues who are working in the emergency room, and they're you won't understand it till you're in there. What we can do is just be wear our masks, wash our hands, and do what we have to do, and ride this out.
Yeah, that is one reason, though, that it has been so crazy, because just on the simplest of things that we should be able to agree on.
Right.
People have had so much division, and it's been crazy in that way.
It has been, and it's sad because I understand, this is my policy. Like, if we don't know enough information, but if it's just a matter of trying to wear a mask, why not? Let's try. Even if we don't understand the sciences, everyone doesn't have to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever to understand all these high educational aspects of the virus, genome, and all these things they're talking. I get it, but it's a simple thing. Like, let's try, because we don't have much. It's between that or death, right? Like, we don't have a solution. And
yes,
this is not just this country. We're talking about countries like not only third world. We're talking about Italy. Like, that was horrible. Different. I mean, UK.
Well, we can say that, but actually, the U.S. is one of the worst places on earth right now.
Oh no, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. What I meant to say is, like, back then when people didn't really believe, I mean, it was happening in other countries. Like, it's got to be real. That's what I meant to say. But now U.S. is the worst, and that really hurts because
it does, because we didn't need to be.
No.
So
we're the most powerful country and the richest country in the world. So it doesn't make sense, but it is.
And one of the most educated countries in the world, and still, what are we doing? I don't know.
Right. No, I'm right with you.
So I'm hoping that 2021 is a year of healing in many ways.
It is. I believe it will be. I feel like so much has happened. What I found interesting was in my area, where it was more of suburbia, when I was growing up, we used to ride our bicycles and go get candy, or those things had completely dissolved. With the pandemic, everybody's outside again. They're on the bikes. They're trying to. It's like kind of like you see the whole transformational process of people interacting. So in that sense, I can see a lot of changes in healing.
Yes, I think it has brought about the realization of what's really important to us. So that's probably a plus, and hopefully we'll hang on to it.
Yes. Yes.
So I have a question that's kind of, well, we got a little off topic already, but this question I've been asking all of my guests lately. So what has surprised you most about life so far?
What has surprised me? I guess, I don't know if it's surprised, but we always have a vision of when we were a child, or when we get, I guess, in our teens or even college, of what life would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I always dreamed this would be a certain way where my life would fall. And, surprisingly, I am an introvert, and I like to kind of like I'm a person who likes to sit in a cabin somewhere by the lake, and I always thought it would be like that, a simple, and I don't know where my life took. It was completely opposite of a cabin in the lake. I'm in New York City, my office is in Manhattan. I'm like, and it's interesting how I had to go through all those struggles and hurts and pains and build where this is what I had to be. It wasn't what I wanted, it wasn't
or maybe what you thought you wanted.
Right.
Or maybe it's just that it changes.
Yeah. It was something I didn't expect at all. I thought I'd be somewhere quiet and being like a soccer mom, and I had no clue my life would come to this. And that's, I guess, it's like we think we can control things, or we can't, but fate is fate.
Yeah.
Your destiny is your destiny. It doesn't matter what you do or how you handle things or what kind of control you try to put in there. Your destiny and your fate is your fate. And now I just let myself just go. Whatever comes my way, I don't even question it. I don't think twice. I just said, okay, this is coming. Universe, let's see where this is going to go. There's got to be a reason. And that's how it is. Just like how I met you, Kate, Harvard.
Yeah. Who would have thought? So, if you could leave the listeners with one thought from today's show, what would you want that to be?
I would say, try not to jump for judgment. It was interesting because today I was thinking about it. I had to go pick up my son, and I was at a light, and that light turned green, but I couldn't turn the left that I needed to turn because the lane was full. The cars were full. And I live in a suburban area where everyone's very nice and respectful. So I'm not going to sit there and cut off a whole lane. I'm going to wait where I am. And I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to wait 2 lights like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the third light, I said, I'm never going to get my son. I have to cut everybody off and block traffic. And the people behind me were also like, now it's getting, and I did. I jumped in, cut off this traffic, cut off that traffic, and everybody was yelling at me like I was an impatient person, and they were like honking, and how do you do this, And I thought to myself, but you people don't understand. I was at the light, 3 lights. I waited 3 green lights, and I couldn't get in. But people don't understand that, right? It's automatic. You just jumped here because you want your way. You're impatient. You're, disrespectful. You cut everybody off. And I was thinking, I don't blame them either, right? They don't know that.
Yeah. You never know the whole story.
You never know. I mean, what am I going to come outside my car? I waited 3 lights, people. Don't judge me. But
and you never have the chance to explain that to those people. So you just have to, let it go and go on.
Right. And it's important for us not to judge people. And I brought up that example, but I'm talking about people who are hurting in the world. Sometimes, I know many times where in the past where I'd be like so in my own head, and I might be like irritated, and I might look really horrible, like stuck up or something. But it's not that. You're hurting. You're in your head. You're trying to survive, and you never know what someone's real story is. It may look different from the exterior, but you don't know who's hurting. So don't quick to judge. Just try to be a little bit more compassionate to everybody around you.
That is very true and very good advice. So if people want to get your book, or they want to get in touch with you or find out more about the courses you're going to be offering, how would they do that?
So you can go on my website. It's www.bindubabu.com. That's BINDUBABU.com. You can Google me. You can get my book, My Soulmate, My Love, My Narcissist. I actually have it. It's going to go backwards. Oh, no, it didn't go backwards. I have my book on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Walmart, Target. You can get it anywhere. And these are the ways, Instagram, Facebook, Dr. Bindu Babu. These are different ways that you can reach me. And whatever I can do to help someone, I'm always willing and ready.
Yes. And she's wonderful. So if you are having any questions about this, be sure to get in touch. So thank you so much for coming on today and talking about this. And I'll be looking forward to what you're doing in 2021.
Thank you so much, Kate, for having me. It's always, always a pleasure. I love us, and I love our tribe. And I always believe we all come together for a life purpose, and 2021 is going to be our year.
Yes, we have to get that tribe together again one of these years.
We should. We have to. That'll be nice.
Yes. So we have another great show planned for next week, the last show of 2021. I'll be interviewing Jenny Dawn, and Jenny Dawn is a shamanic healer, an energy healer, and a life coach. And she has some special gifts when it comes to healing in the area of energy healing. But she didn't know she had these gifts until she was faced with a kind of an unusual and unfortunate circumstance at a very early age. Wow. So we're going to hear about her story, and she's been coaching now for over 15 years. So, and her coaching practice, and why she loves what she does. That'll actually be a recording because, we'll be celebrating the holidays. So at 3 p.m. Pacific time, it'll be both on YouTube and on the radio station website. That's www.soulfireradio.com. So be sure to catch that next Tuesday. And everybody have a wonderful holiday, whatever you're doing. Stay safe and well. So thanks again, Bindu.
Thank you, Kate, and have a great, great holiday. I look forward to that show next week. I want to see that. Sounds interesting.
Yes, I connected with her because I was interested in finding out more about the shamanic practices.
Yeah, me too.
So, all right. Well, I'm just going to say bye for now.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Soul Fire Wisdom with Kate Olson. We hope you enjoyed the show. If we made you laugh, brightened your day, or sparked a new thought, we have succeeded in our mission. Join us next time when we'll share more secrets and truths and all the magic of transformation that is the journey to Soul Fire Wisdom. Always remember, be fierce in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.